Today, we are going to talk about a book that has kept the world's greatest kings and giants awake for 500 years. Niccolò Machiavelli's famous book, The Prince, teaches us how the world should be. It shows us dreams of goodness and honesty. But Machiavelli was no dreamy poet. He was a seasoned player of power. He had seen kings rise and fall. This book doesn't give you a lot of knowledge. It shows how the world really works. Machiavelli says that if you live among wolves, you need the cunning of a fox and the strength of a lion. Is it better for a prince to be loved or to inspire fear in people's hearts? The answer is in this book. Fortune sometimes helps and sometimes betrays. Machiavelli laid down firm rules for it. Niccolò Machiavelli was born on May 3rd, 1469 in Florence. From 1494 to 1512, he held a high office in Florence. He went to meet kings of other countries. In 1512, he was thrown into prison. Later, he was exiled from the city. He died in Florence on June 22nd, 1527. Machiavelli was the son of a famous lawyer. His parents came from an old and noble Florentine family. His life had three major parts. In each part, the history of Florence changed. When he was young, Florence was ruled by Lorenzo de' Medici. In 1494, the Medici family lost power. Then Machiavelli started his government job. Until 1512, Florence was ruled by the people. Then the old rule came back. Machiavelli lost his job. In this empty time, he wrote his books. He wanted to get back into service, but could not. In 1527, at the age of 58, he passed away. There is not much information about Machiavelli's childhood. At that time in Florence, there were two kinds of people. One group followed religion. The other loved luxury and show. Savonarola was a religious leader who had great power. But Machiavelli mocked him. He called him an unarmed prophet. Such people always come to a bad end. Machiavelli liked the way Lorenzo worked. He dedicated his book, The Prince, to Lorenzo's grandson. He told his son to study hard. He wrote that if you help yourself, the world will help you. He knew that skill makes a man great. From 1494 to 1512, Machiavelli served the Free Florence. He was secretary for war and peace matters. He saw kings and soldiers up close. That is where he learned the game of power. Statecraft. His first big meeting was with Caterina Sforza. From her, he learned a big lesson. It is better to win the trust of the people than to build big forts. In 1500, he met King Louis XIV of France. Louis made 5 big mistakes in the game of power. That is why he had to flee Italy. Machiavelli explained these mistakes in his book. Machiavelli watched Cesare Borgia very closely. Borgia gained power on the strength of others' fortune. Machiavelli considered him a clever player. Borgia was ready for every trouble. But in the end, he lost to an unexpected misfortune. Machiavelli taught one more thing. If you harm someone, he never forgets. New promises do not heal old wounds. About Pope Julius II, he said something special. Fortune is like a woman. Only the bold and daring man can win her. The coward loses in fortune's game. He also saw the King of Spain, Ferdinand. Ferdinand wore the cloak of religion and played clever tricks. There was no mercy or truth in him. If he had been truthful, his kingdom would have sunk. There were kings like Maximilian who stayed very quiet. They lacked the strength to make others obey. So they always failed. In 1512, when enemies surrounded Florence, the dice turned. The old rule came back. Machiavelli lost his job and his career ended. When the Medici family returned, Machiavelli's job was taken away. He was suspected of conspiracy. He was put in prison and tortured. The new Pope Leo V freed him. After that, he went to his small house near Florence. There, he only wrote books. In the evening, he took off his dirty clothes and wore good ones. He spent intellectual time with the great men of old books. He spent 15 years learning the game of power, statecraft. During this time, he wrote the small book, The Prince. In it, he explained what a principality is, how a prince can acquire it, and how he can keep it. He dedicated this book to Lorenzo de' Medici. Machiavelli was poor, but he never gave up his loyalty. Machiavelli also wrote a book on the art of war called The Art of War. In 1520, he got the job of writing the history of Florence. He was an expert who became restless if he did not get work. In 1525, he gave his written history to Pope Clement. But see the game of fortune. At the same time, the Medici family's power fell again. Machiavelli wanted his old job back, but he fell ill and died on June 22nd, 1527. Machiavelli was a man of sharp observation and hard work. He was perhaps not so successful on the ground, but in the world of the pen, he proved to be the greatest master. His book, The Prince, is still considered very important today. It tells the real relationship between prince and people. He saw the world as it really is. People are still as greedy and naive today. People believe not the truth, but what they like. Wisdom lies in choosing the path of least danger. Crime may bring a kingdom, but not respect. When no other path remains, war is fine. Machiavelli showed kings what no one else could see. He wrote the rules of power that will always remain true. Come, let us try to understand this book line by line. My name is Rohit, and you are listening to Syllabus with Rohit. Dedication to the magnificent Lorenzo. People who want to please a prince bring precious gifts. Some bring fine horses, some weapons, or precious stones. To increase the prince's glory, people bring clothes of gold. I too wanted to present some proof of my loyalty before you. I have no jewels or wealth to give. The most precious thing I have is my experience. I have closely watched the actions of great men for years. From old books, I understood the game of power. I have put all my intelligence into this small book. It may not be worthy of your greatness, but I cannot give a better gift than this. The things I learned from years of difficulties and dangers, you can read quickly. I have not decorated it with heavy words. I want my words to be known for their weight and truth. Some people will say, what can an ordinary man teach a prince? But remember, to see high mountains, one must stand in the plain, and to see the plain, one must go to the top of the mountain. To understand the people, one must be a prince. But to understand a prince, one must be an ordinary man. Accept this gift with the same spirit as I send it. If you read it carefully, you will reach the height that fortune has planned for you. When you look down from that height, you will see my bad condition. You will see how my broken fortune is doing injustice to me. The Prince. Chapter 1. All states that rule over men are either republics or principalities. I will not talk about republics here. I have written about them elsewhere. Here my whole attention is only on principalities. I will explain how these states are ruled and how they are kept. Principalities are of two kinds. One is hereditary, where the family has ruled from ancient times. The other is completely new. The new can be entirely new. like Milan was for Francesco Sforza. Or the prince adds it to his old state, like the King of Spain added the Kingdom of Naples. These new states were either used to living under a prince or used to freedom. They are acquired either by the prince's own arms, or others' arms, or by fortune, or by ability. Chapter 2. Hereditary principalities are very easy to keep compared to new ones. Just do not change the old ways of your ancestors. Deal wisely with situations as they come. Even an ordinary prince can hold his state unless some very big force removes him. If he is removed, whenever something bad happens to the usurper, he can get it back. Take the example of the Duke of Ferrara in Italy. He survived attacks from the Venetians and Pope Julius because his rule was very old. Hereditary princes do not need to make people unhappy, so people love them more. Unless the prince has some bad habit, people stay happy. Because the rule is old, people forget about change. One change always opens the door to another change. Chapter 3. The real trouble comes in new principalities. If the new territory is joined to an old one, troubles increase. People think the new prince will fix everything. In this hope, they take up arms against the old prince. But later, they find they are trapped. The new prince puts the burden of his army on the people as soon as he comes. To keep a new territory, strictness is needed. In this game, two kinds of enemies are made. First, those whose land or rights you took. Second, those friends who helped you get the throne. You cannot give those friends everything they expected. You cannot be strict with them because you owe them favors. Remember, no matter how big your army is, in a new territory, the people's support is necessary to enter. King Louis X of France quickly won Milan, but he lost it just as quickly. Lodovico drove him out with his small army because the people who opened the city gates became disappointed. They did not get the happiness they expected from the new prince. Yes, if you win back a rebellious territory, it is easy to keep. Then the prince gets the excuse to crush the rebels. He fixes his weak points and clears enemies. After winning Milan back, it became hard to defeat Louis XIV. Then the whole world had to stand against him. If the conquered territory is like your old one, it is easy to keep. If the people speak the same language, do two things. First, destroy the old prince's family. Second, do not change their old laws and taxes. Then the new people will quickly mix with you. But if language and customs are different, great strength is needed. The best way is for the prince to live there himself, like the Turkish Sultan did in Greece. If you live there, you can stop trouble as soon as it starts. If you stay far, you get news only when everything is lost. Living there prevents your officers from looting the territory. People feel their prince is near them. The second way is to settle colonies there. This way is much better and cheaper than keeping an army. In colonies, only a few people lose their homes. They become poor and scattered, so they cannot take revenge. The rest stay quiet out of fear that the same may happen to them. Either love people completely or crush them completely. Small injuries they can avenge, but after big injury, they cannot take revenge. So give such injury to the enemy that the fear of revenge does not remain. If you keep an army instead of colonies, it costs a lot. The income from the territory goes to the army. The army moving here and there troubles the whole people. Everyone becomes your enemy and can harm you in your own home. So keeping an army is useless. Colonies are the right way. The prince should become the helper of his weak neighbors. At the same time, weaken the powerful neighbors. Make sure no foreign power gets a foothold there. Foreign enemies are always called by those unhappy or jealous of you. As soon as a foreign power comes, weak people join it. They help the enemy out of hatred for the old prince. The prince must see that those weak people do not gain too much power. With your army and their help, you can easily crush big players. The prince who does not understand this game loses his rule quickly. The Romans were very clever. They played a special move in conquered territories. They settled colonies there. They kept friendship with small kings, but did not give them power. They kept big players down. They did not allow any foreign power to get a foothold. Take the example of Greece. The Romans kept small kings as friends, but never let them grow too much. They humbled Macedonia. They drove out Antiochus. Rome did what every wise prince should do. They looked not only at today's trouble, but tomorrow's danger too. Danger must be treated in time. It is like disease. Doctors say it is hard to catch disease in the beginning, but easy to cure. But if time passes, the disease becomes visible, but impossible to cure. The game of power is the same. A wise man senses coming evil from far, but when evil grows so much that everyone sees it, no medicine works. The Romans sensed danger early. They were never afraid of war. They knew war cannot be avoided. Avoiding war only helps the enemy. They decided to fight in Greece so Italy could be saved. They did not believe in time. They believed only in their skill, strength, and intelligence. Now, let's talk about King Louis XIV of France. He did everything he should not have done. Louis was brought to Italy by the Venetians. They wanted half of Lombardy. Louis had to enter Italy, so he made this deal. As soon as he won Lombardy, he got back the status he had lost. Everyone wanted to be his friend. Then the Venetians realized their mistake. In greed for 2 cities, they made Louis master of half Italy. Louis could have easily kept his rule. He just had to protect his weak friends. Those friends were afraid of the Pope and Venice. They needed Louis's help. With their help, Louis could easily crush big players. But as soon as he got Milan, he made a big mistake. He helped Pope Alexander so the Pope could take a territory. He did not understand he was weakening himself. He lost those friends who had come into his lap. He added the power of religion to power. After one mistake, he had to make another. To stop the growing power of the Pope, he had to come to Italy himself. That was not enough. For Naples, he joined hands with the King of Spain. Where he could have been the only master, he brought a partner. He put a king there who could drive Louis out himself. Wanting new territory is very common. Those who can do it are praised, but those who cannot and still try are called fools. Louis made 5 big mistakes. He destroyed small kings. He increased the power of a powerful pope. He brought a very big foreign power, Spain, inside. He did not go to live there himself and did not settle colonies. In the end, he made a 6th mistake too. He destroyed Venice. If he had not made Pope and Spain powerful, destroying Venice would have been right. But making everyone powerful first and then touching Venice was suicide. Venice alone could have stopped others from attacking Lombardy. If someone says Louis did all this to avoid war, then he is wrong. War is never avoided. It only advances for your harm. Louis lost his rule because he did not play the game of power correctly. Remember one firm rule that never fails. He who makes another powerful is himself ruined, because power comes either by cleverness or by force, and the one who now has power will fear both these things. and will never trust you. Chapter 4. Alexander conquered Asia in a few years. Everyone thought there would be rebellion after his death, but his companions ruled happily. They had trouble only from their own quarrels, not from the people. To understand the game of power, it is necessary to know this. States are ruled in two ways. First way, where there is one king and his ministers. Ministers depend only on the king's favor and job. Second way, where there is a king and old hereditary barons. These barons have their own status. People know and love them for years. Take the example of the Turkish king. There is only one master. Everyone else is his servant. The king can change his officers whenever he wants. Such a state is very hard to conquer. There the ministers are loyal slaves of the king. It is not easy to break them with greed. They cannot bring the people with them. So to attack such a king, very great strength is needed from outside. But once defeated on the field, it is easy to hold the state. Just destroy the king's family. Then no baron remains whom the people know. Now look at France. There are many old hereditary barons. They have their own territory and people. It is easy to win over an unhappy baron there. He can open the way to victory for you. But it is very hard to hold such a state. The helping barons will expect things from you. Those you crushed will hate you. You cannot make everyone happy, nor kill everyone. As soon as they get a chance, they will turn your throne upside down. Darius's kingdom was like Turkey. Alexander just had to defeat him once on the field. As soon as Darius died, the whole state became Alexander's. If Alexander's heirs had not fought among themselves, no one could have harmed them. The Romans had great trouble in Spain and France. There were many small hereditary kings. As long as the memory of those old barons remained, rebellion continued. But when Roman rule became old, people forgot everything. So remember, all this depends not on the skill and strength of the conqueror. It depends on the old system of the territory. Where there is one master, it is hard to enter but easy to hold. Where there are many barons, it is easy to enter but hard to hold. Chapter 5. States that are used to freedom and their own laws can be held in only three ways. First, destroy the state completely. Second, the prince goes and lives there himself. Third, let them live with their old laws. Just keep taking taxes from them. Put a small group there that works for you. That group knows they cannot survive without the prince's friendship. They will put their life into saving his power. The easiest way to hold a free city is to use its own citizens. Look at the examples of Spartans and Romans. The Spartans put a small group in Athens, but could not save it. The Romans completely destroyed Carthage and never lost it. The Romans wanted to rule Greece like the Spartans by leaving it free, but they failed. In the end, they had to destroy the cities there. The truth is that except destruction, there is no sure way to hold a free city. The prince who conquers a free city and does not destroy it prepares himself for destruction. The people never forget their old freedom. Even after 100 years of slavery and many favors from the prince, as soon as they get a chance, they stand up for freedom. If you do not scatter them, they will always turn toward their old freedom at every opportunity, like Pisa did against Florence after 100 years. But where there was already a prince's rule, the story is different. As soon as the old family is finished, the people lose their way. They are used to obeying, but not to freedom. They cannot choose one among themselves as prince, nor know how to rule themselves. Such people are very easy to conquer and make loyal. But in people's rule, hatred is very deep. The fire of revenge never goes out. The memory of their old freedom never lets them rest in peace. So the safest way is either to destroy them completely or to go and live there yourself. Chapter 6. If I give examples of great princes in this book, do not be surprised. Men often walk only on paths made by others. They advance only by copying others. But they can never reach the strength of the real man. A wise prince should always follow the path of great experts, so that even if you do not reach their level, you become like them at least. Be like a clever archer. When the target is very far, he aims high. He knows how much strength his bow has. He aims high, so the arrow hits the right place. Holding a completely new principality depends on the prince's skill. To become a prince from an ordinary man, two things are needed: either skill and strength, or good fortune. One of these two reduces your difficulties, but he who trusts fortune less survives more. If the prince lives in that new territory himself, the work becomes easy. Look at those who became princes by their own strength, not fortune. Moses, Cyrus, Romulus, and Theseus are great masters in this. Moses did God's command, but Cyrus and others did wonders. Looking at their lives, you see fortune gave them only one chance. That chance was like clay, which they shaped into a statue with their skill. Without the chance, their skill would have been wasted, and without skill, the chance would have slipped away. Moses found the people of Israel enslaved in Egypt. They were troubled by oppression, so they followed Moses. Romulus was thrown out of home in childhood. Then he could become king of Rome. Cyrus found people tired of the old rule. Theseus got his chance when the people of Athens were scattered. These chances made them great. Their skill recognized the chance and made their territory's name shine. Those who become princes by their own strength find it hard to get the territory, but very easy to hold it. Trouble comes because they have to start new laws and ways. There is nothing more difficult and dangerous in the world than starting something new. Those who are enjoying the old rule become your bitter enemies, and those who benefit from the new rule are timid and weak friends. They are afraid of enemies because law is with them, and people do not believe new things until they experience them. Whenever they get a chance, enemies attack like lions and friends stay cold. Because of this, the prince comes into danger. Here a big question arises. Do these starters of new things stand on their own strength, or do they beg help from others? If they only make promises and depend on others, they sink. But if they can use their own strength, they survive. That is why armed prophets succeed. Unarmed ones always get destroyed. People's mood keeps changing. It is easy to convince them with words, but hard to keep them convinced. So arrange things so that when their belief ends, you can force belief with strength. Moses, Cyrus, and Romulus would not have survived without weapons. In our time, look at Savonarola's example. As soon as people's trust broke, his new rule broke too. He had no strength to stop those who did not believe him. Such princes have very hard climbs, but once they overcome these difficulties, people start respecting them. Then they remain powerful, safe, and happy forever. I will give one more small but important example. The hero of Syracuse was an ordinary man. Fortune gave him only one chance. The people there were troubled, so they chose him as captain. Later, he became king by his own strength. He removed the old army and built a new one. He broke old promises and made new firm friends. He laid such strong foundations that he could build any building on them. He sweated a lot to get the territory, but holding it was child's play for him. Chapter 7. Those who become princes only by fortune from ordinary men do not have to work hard to reach the top. They fly to the peak. But real trouble starts when they try to stay there. No obstacle comes in their path because they did not come by hard work. Such princes are made either by money or by some big prince's favor, like Darius made kings in Greek cities. These people depend only on others' will and fortune. Both these things are very unstable and can change any time. They have no experience nor their own strength. They do not know how to command because they have always been slaves of others. They do not have any loyal army that stands with them in trouble. A suddenly risen principality is like those natural things that grow very fast. They do not have strong roots. The first storm of time uproots them. The prince who suddenly gets the throne has to sweat a lot later. He has to plant those roots later, which others planted before becoming prince. Let us take two examples, Sforza and Borgia. To understand the game of power, it is necessary to look at these two men. Francesco Sforza won Milan by his own skill. He faced thousands of troubles to win it, but no trouble to hold it. His roots were strong. Cesare Borgia, called Duke Valentino, got his state by his father's fortune. As soon as his father's strength decreased, his rule went away. While he had played all the moves a wise prince should play, Cesare had laid very strong foundations for his strength. If he still lost, it was not his fault. It was his very bad fortune. Pope Alexander VI wanted to make his son a great prince, but many obstacles were in his way. He could give only church territories. But Milan and Venice were against it. The Pope played a trick. He made the players of Italy fight among themselves. He helped the King of France to enter Italy. With France's help, he won Romagna. But Cesare had two fears. The Orsini family's army could betray him any time. The King of France could stop him from going further. Cesare decided he would no longer depend on others. First, he weakened the Orsini and Colonna groups. He tempted their men. He gave them good money and big jobs. In a few months, they forgot their old masters and became loyal to Cesare. After that, he planned to destroy the Orsini family. When the Orsini people saw Cesare becoming very powerful, they rebelled. But Cesare crushed them all with France's help. Then he played his biggest trick. He showed he no longer wanted to fight anyone. He made a man named Pagolo his friend by giving money, clothes, and horses. In the trust of this friendship, the big leaders of Orsini came to meet him in Senigallia. Cesare killed them all there. When the big enemies were gone, their followers became Cesare's friends. Now he had all of Romagna and Urbino. The people there were now happy and started considering Cesare their true prince. When the Duke captured Romagna, it was all scattered. The old small princes there only looted the people. There was theft, quarrels and killings everywhere. Cesare chose a strict man named Ramiro d'Orco to bring peace there. That man was very sharp and cruel. In a short time he straightened everyone. Now Cesare played a fox-like trick. He feared people would hate him because of Ramiro's strictness. He showed the people that the cruelty was not done by him, but by his minister. One morning, he had Ramiro executed in the public square. He left the body with a bloody knife beside it. Seeing this scene, people were both happy and afraid. Now Cesare had become quite powerful. He had crushed the enemies around him. Now he feared the King of France. He started looking for new friends and tricked France too. His plan was solid, but he had one fear. He feared the new pope could become his enemy. For the coming time, he played 4 firm moves. Destroy old princes' families completely. Win over Rome's big men with greed. Bring big priests into his fist. Gather so much strength before the pope's death that no one could shake him. By the time Pope Alexander died, he had completed 3 tasks. He had killed almost all old princes. Rome's big men were with him. He had full control in the group of priests. He was about to win Pisa and Siena. If he had succeeded, he would no longer depend on anyone. But fortune deceived him badly. Only 5 years had passed when his father died. At that time, Cesare himself was near death and very ill. Only Romagna was firmly in his hand. Everything else was in the air, and 2 big armies surrounded him. Still, he had kept his foundation so strong that he did not accept defeat. Cesare once told me a very sharp thing. He said I had thought of everything, but I did not think of my illness. He had found a solution for every trouble. He knew how to win people's hearts and how to frighten them. What Cesare did is worth learning. Those who become princes by fortune can consider him their master. He destroyed enemies, made new friends, and changed the old army. He was strict as well as kind. His only mistake was letting Julius Tun become pope. This was the place where he did not show fox-like cunning. He chose a man whom he had harmed before. Remember, no new promise can erase old enmity. Big men never forget old wounds. This one mistake of Cesare drowned him and ended his rule. Chapter 8. An ordinary man can become prince in 2 more ways. Here, fortune or skill has less role. First, by doing wrong or cruel acts. Second, by the choice of his own people or citizens. Now, we will talk about the first way. I will give 2 examples, one old and one new. Agathocles was the son of a potter who became king. Agathocles was the son of a very ordinary potter. He was a very low man, but his body and mind were very strong. He joined the army and by hard work became a big officer. Then he decided he would not work under anyone. He played a trick with his army. One morning, he called a meeting of the city's big men and leaders. On his signal, his soldiers killed them all. He became the sole king. Enemies defeated him twice and surrounded him. Still, he did not accept defeat. He left half his army to save the city. With the other half, he attacked the enemy's home, Africa. The enemy got scared and left the whole territory. Agathocles' success had no hand of fortune. He advanced every step by his own strength. But killing his own people and deceiving friends is not bravery. By this you can win territory, but not respect. He was a cruel king, so he cannot be called good. The second example is Oliveratos, the king who deceived his own people. In our time, Oliveratos' example is there. He was an orphan, and his uncle raised him. He became a big military player, but he did not like serving others. He thought of capturing his city Fermo. He wrote to his uncle that he wanted to come home. He said he would come with 100 horsemen to show his glory. The uncle welcomed him well. Oliverato gave a big feast. After the feast, he took everyone to one room. Alone in one room. As soon as everyone sat, his hidden soldiers cut them all. He did not spare his uncle either. He became the king of the city. He made new rules and strengthened the army. But a year later, Cesare Borgia killed him by deceit too. Now the question is, how did these people survive after so much cruelty? While other princes lose the throne, even after small cruelty, the secret is in the right or wrong use of cruelty. The right way is to do all cruelty at once. Whatever bad you have to do to secure your throne, do it in one stroke. After that, do not trouble people again. Then start giving benefits to the people. The wrong way is to do small cruelty at first, but keep increasing it slowly. Such a prince always has a knife in his hand. People never love him, and he never sleeps in peace. The firm formula for becoming a new prince is when you conquer a new territory, do all your killing in one go, so people do not get hurt again and again. They slowly forget that pain, but give benefits and good things slowly to people. Like a sweet thing is tasted slowly, so its taste stays in people's mouth for long. The prince should always stay the same with his people, no matter what the time is. If you become good in trouble, people will think it is compulsion and will not respect you. Chapter 9. When an ordinary man becomes prince by the love of his own people, we call it principality of the people. For this, neither very great skill is needed, nor fortune's help. Just a little cleverness and right time support is needed. Every city has two kinds of groups. On one side, common people. On the other side, high people. People want no government or oppression over them. But high people want to rule and oppress the people. From the struggle of these two, a prince is born. When high people cannot oppress the people, they choose a prince of their choice. They hide behind him to fulfill their greed. Similarly, when people cannot stop high people, they choose their prince. They want the prince's strength to protect them. The prince who gets the throne by high people's help has big trouble. Around him are people who consider themselves equal to him. The prince cannot run them as he wishes. But the prince who becomes by people's love is the sole master. There, no one is there who is not ready to obey him. You cannot make high people happy without harming others. But making people happy is very easy. People's aim is better according to right and wrong. They just want no oppression on them. The prince can never save himself from enemy people because they are too many. But he can control enemy high people because they are few. Enemy people will just leave your side. But enemy high people can attack you. They are clever and jump off the sinking ship first. The prince always has to stay with them, but he can change high people whenever he wants. He can take their strength or give them status whenever he wants. I think people should be seen in two ways. First, those completely tied to your promises and your fortune. If they are not greedy, give them love and respect. Second, those who do not want to join you. They can be either timid or very clever. Take advice from timid ones. They will help in good times. But those who deliberately stay away are your enemies. In trouble, they will be first to destroy you. The prince who becomes by people's trust should keep friendship with them. They just want the prince not to oppress them. But the prince who becomes by high people's help should first win the people's heart. If you give them support, they become your loyal ones. When people get love from where they expected oppression, they sacrifice their life for the prince. Take Nabis's example. He faced the whole of Greece and Rome's army. He saved his territory. He just had to control a few high people. If the people were against him, he could never have survived. There is an old saying that trusting people is like building a house on mud. This may be true for an ordinary man, but for a brave prince it is wrong. If the prince is fearless and knows how to command people, never deceive him. Such rule is in danger only when the prince depends on officers instead of ruling himself. In trouble, these officers leave the prince or rebel. In peace, everyone talks of dying for the prince. But when death really comes, very few stand with him. A wise prince should arrange things so that people always need him. If they need the prince, they will always remain loyal. Chapter 10. One more thing is necessary to know about the prince. Can the prince stand on his own power? Or does he always need others' help? What is standing on own power? Having so much money and men that he can raise such a big army that he can fight in the field. But some princes cannot come to the field. They have to hide behind walls to save themselves. Such princes have only one advice. Strengthen your city's fortifications and store food. Stop worrying about saving the whole territory. If your city is strong and people love you, any enemy will think 100 times before attacking. People avoid such fights where danger and difficulty are more. The cities of Germany are completely free. They obey big kings only when they feel like it. They fear no one because their fortifications are very strong. They have deep moats and strong walls. They keep food, drink, and fuel stored for a year. They do not let people sit idle and keep giving them work. Their military training is given great respect. If the city is strong, the enemy returns humiliated. The world must be dealt with according to the time. No army can besiege one place for a year. Some people say that seeing their crops burning outside people will leave the prince. But a clever prince can handle them. He will give hope to people that this bad time is short. He will frighten them with enemies' greed and cruelty. He will wisely silence the noisy rebels. As soon as the enemy comes, he burns the outside fields and houses. At that time, people are angry and fight for the prince. After a few days, when anger cools, the damage is done. Now no option remains. So people come closer to the prince. They feel the prince is now indebted to them because their houses and fields burned only to save the prince. Man's nature is that by helping others, they become loyal. If the prince is wise, he wins people's trust from start to end. Chapter 11. Now only religious territories remain. Getting them is the biggest headache. To get them either skill or strength or good fortune is needed. But once got, there is no need to hold them. They stand on old religious rules. These rules are so powerful that the principality stays no matter how the prince behaves and lives. These princes alone have states, but do not defend them. They have subjects, but do not rule them. Their states are not taken because there is no army. Subjects do not care because there is no rule. They neither want to leave the prince, nor can they. Only such principalities are safe and happy, but they are upheld by powers that human mind cannot reach. So I will say no more about them. But someone may ask how the church became so powerful in temporal matters. Earlier, Italian small princes did not care about the Pope. But now, even a king of France trembles before it. It drove him out of Italy and ruined the Venetians. Before Charles, King of France, came to Italy, there were 5 big players in Italy: Pope, Venice, Naples, Milan, and Florence. Their 2 main aims were: first, no foreign army should enter Italy. Second, no one player should become too powerful. To control the Pope, the barons of Rome were used. The Orsini and Colonna groups always fought among themselves. They always stood armed before the Pope's eyes. Because of this, the Pope always remained weak and helpless. The Pope's life was also short. So they could not do anything big. In 10 years of rule, no group could be completely finished. Then came Pope Alexander VI. He showed the world what money and army can do. He used his son Borgia. His aim was to make his son great. But in the end, the church benefited. After him, Pope Julius II sat on the throne. He found the church strong with all Romagna. The barons of Rome were made powerless, and by Alexander's punishments, the groups were wiped out. He also found the way to collect money in a way never done before Alexander. Julius not only continued the old work, but improved it. He intended to take Bologna, ruin Venice, and drive France out of Italy. All these enterprises succeeded with him, and more credit to him because he did everything to strengthen the church, not any private person. He also kept the Orsini and Colonna groups within limits where he found them. Although there was some wish to make trouble, he held two things firm. One, the greatness of the church with which he frightened them, and second, he did not allow them to have their own cardinals who caused disorders among them. They stirred up the barons to play their game of power. Now Pope Leo V has this power in hand. It is hoped that he will make the church even greater by his goodness. Chapter 12. I have explained everything about the principalities. How their foundations are right or wrong, I have told. Now, let us talk about attack and defense methods. The foundation of any kingdom is two things: good laws and strong army. Where the army is not good, laws do not stand. Where the army is strong, laws are good. Now we will talk only about the army. The prince saves his throne by four kinds of armies: his own army, mercenary soldiers, auxiliary army, mixed army. Mercenaries and outside help are useless. They are very dangerous. The prince who stands on these arms is never safe. They are disunited, ambitious, undisciplined, unfaithful, brave before friends, cowards before enemies. They fear neither God nor are faithful to men. In peace they rob you. In war the enemy robs you. They are not ready to die for you. They have only the greed for a little pay. Until war does not happen, they remain your soldiers. As soon as fighting starts, they leave the field and run. Italy's ruin was caused only by trusting mercenaries for years. France's King Charles conquered Italy easily. He just marked with chalk and took houses. Our sins punished us. The prince's mistakes were suffered by the princes. Mercenary captains are of two kinds, either very capable or completely useless. If capable, never trust them. They dream of becoming prince themselves. They will either crush you or join your enemies. And if useless, they will drown you anyway. If you ask whether a prince with his own army will do the same, my answer is the prince should go to the field himself. He should become captain of his own army. Rome and Sparta remained free because of their own armies. The Swiss are free today because they themselves take up arms. History is witness that mercenaries always deceived. Francesco Sforza deceived his own masters. He crushed Milan's people. His father did the same. He left Naples's queen alone at the right time. Such army gives victory very slowly and little, but defeat comes suddenly and terribly. In Italy, the fashion of mercenaries increased a lot. The church and small states started hiring foreigners. They reduced the strength of infantry. They kept only cavalry because it had more money and status. In 20,000 army, there were not even 2,000 foot soldiers. They made war a joke. They did not kill each other. They just captured soldiers and released them without money. They did not attack at night. They did not fight in cold. They made these rules to save themselves. That is why Italy is slave and humiliated today. Chapter 13. Auxiliary army is also useless and headache. This is the army you borrow from another prince. Pope Julius made this mistake. To win Ferrara, he asked for army from Spain. Such army can be good and useful for itself, but for the one who calls it, it is always loss. With this army, there is a big danger. If they lose, you are completely finished. and if they win, you become their prisoner. Pope Julius was lucky that he survived. His borrowed army lost, but then the Swiss came and drove out the enemies. Julius neither became prisoner of enemies, nor of his auxiliary army. Florence had no army of its own. To win Pisa, they called 10,000 French soldiers. This was their biggest mistake. They were in the greatest danger then. Only the prince who does not want to win calls such army. It is more dangerous than mercenaries. Mercenaries are greedy and cowards, but borrowed army stays together. It obeys someone else's command. In mercenaries, there is danger of cowardice. In auxiliary army, their bravery is trouble for you. A wise prince always avoids such army. He builds his own army. He prefers to lose with his own army than win with others. Victory with others' strength is not true victory. Take Cesare Borgia's example. He first used French soldiers. Then he feared, so he kept mercenaries. When he saw they were not loyal, he destroyed them all. Then he built his own army. His status increased when everyone saw he was the sole master of his army. The hero of Syracuse did the same. He saw mercenaries were useless. He had them all cut to pieces. Then he fought war only with his own army. Remember the story of David and Goliath. When David went to fight, the king gave him his heavy weapons. David threw them away. He said he would fight only with his sling and knife. Others' weapons either fall or become burden or bind you. France's King Charles VII understood this. He built his own infantry, but his son Louis the Fun destroyed it. Louis started keeping Swiss people. Today, France's army cannot do anything without Swiss soldiers. They reduced their strength and depended on others. Kings with less intelligence, like everything in the beginning. They do not see the poison hidden behind. This is like that disease which is not known in the beginning. If the prince cannot sense it before trouble comes, he is not wise. Rome's empire started falling when they started enlisting Goth people in their army. Rome's whole strength slowly went to others. My saying is that without his own army, no prince is safe. He stands completely on his fortune. He has no strength to defend himself. Wise people say respect based on others' strength is the weakest. Your own army is that in which your own people, citizens and slaves are. The rest is all borrowed burden. Chapter 14. The prince should have only one aim and work. Day and night, he should learn only war and its rules. This is the only skill that suits a prince. This skill has so much strength that it saves hereditary rule. Not only this, an ordinary man can become prince by this skill. On the other hand, when the prince thinks more of luxury than war, his rule is taken away. The first reason for losing the game of power is forgetting war, and the only way to win it is to become master of this skill. Francesco Sforza became master of Milan because of military spirit. His sons avoided war's difficulties. As a result, they became ordinary men from princes. A prince without arms has no respect in the world. This is such disrespect that the prince should always avoid it. There is no equality between armed and unarmed man. It is impossible that the armed man obeys the unarmed, or the unarmed prince stays safe among his armed servants. There will be hatred for one and suspicion for the other. In such condition, they cannot work together. The prince who does not understand war will not get respect from his army. He will never trust his soldiers. Even in peace, the prince should not remove war from his heart. In peace, he should prepare even more for war than in war. This happens in two ways: action and study. Action means the prince should always keep his army ready and alert. He should go hunting continuously. This makes his body used to difficulties. He gets complete knowledge of his territory's land, where there are mountains, where valleys open, and where plains are. He should know everything. He should deeply understand the nature of rivers and swamps. This knowledge helps in two ways. First, he can better defend his territory. Second, by understanding one territory, he can quickly understand another new territory. Tuscany's rivers and mountains are like other countries. The prince who lacks this skill can never become a good general. This skill teaches him to suddenly attack the enemy and camp at the right place. Philopoemen in peace also talked only of war. While walking with friends, he would suddenly stop and ask if the enemy is on that hill, and we are here, who has the advantage? If we have to attack, what will our army's move be? He discussed every danger of war while walking. He listened to others' opinions and put his own with arguments. Because of this constant mental exercise, no trouble surprised him in war. The second is study. To sharpen the mind, the prince should read history. He should see how old great masters moved in war. He should carefully understand the reasons for their victory and defeat. Learning from defeat and copying victory is wisdom. Great men always copied some great master greater than themselves. Alexander copied Achilles' deeds in his mind. Caesar learned Alexander's tricks. Scipio copied Cyrus's footsteps and got respect. Reading Xenophon's book on Cyrus, Scipio became great. He adopted generosity and humanity like Cyrus. A wise prince should follow such rules. He should not sit idle in peace. He should keep increasing his strength and skill, so that when bad time comes, he is ready. If fortune turns, he has strength to stop every attack. Chapter 15. Now see how the prince should behave with his people, or citizens and friends. Many have written big and artificial things about power. But I will tell you the bitter truth, not empty knowledge. People see dreams about territories that never come true. There is a big difference between how people really live and how they should live. The prince who leaves reality and runs after ideas destroys himself. If you want to be only good in every situation, you will be killed, because this world is very bad, and there is a crowd of bad people here. So to save his rule, the prince must know how to be bad too. He should know when to wear the mask of goodness, and when to show cleverness. When the prince sits on the high throne, people watch his habits. Someone calls him very generous, and someone calls him greedy. Someone considers him kind, then someone very cruel. Someone calls him truthful, then someone deceiver. Someone calls him brave, then someone coward. It sounds very good that the prince has only good qualities, but no man can be completely good, because time and situations are not like that. The prince should be wise enough to avoid those evils that can take his rule. But if there is an evil that keeps his territory safe, he should not be ashamed to do it. Many things that look good from outside drown the prince, and many things that look bad give the prince strength and happiness. The game of power is played not with heart, but with mind's tricks. Chapter 16. If you want to be called generous, it will cost a lot. In the beginning, people will praise you a lot, but in showing glory, your treasury will empty. To save your status, you will need more money. Then you will put heavy taxes on people. Because of this, people will start hating you. There is no respect for a poor prince in the world. You made a few people happy by giving donations, but you made many people unhappy. Now, as soon as trouble comes, you will be in danger. When you stop your hand, people will call you stingy. So a wise prince should not fear being called stingy. With time, people will see that you run your work well. You maintain your army without new taxes. You saved your territory without looting people. Then people will consider you truly generous, because you saved the money of thousands whom you did not loot. You were stingy only to those few whom you gave nothing. In our time, Pope Julius did the same. He became generous to reach the throne, but to fight war, he preferred to be called stingy. The King of France fought many wars, but he never put extra burden on his people. He fought many battles with his stinginess. If you are on the path to becoming prince, opening hands is fine. But once you become prince, giving donations is very dangerous. Cyrus and Caesar gave a lot of wealth. But remember that wealth was not theirs, but looted from enemies. Giving others wealth increases your respect. It does not decrease. Giving your own treasury weakens the prince. Donation is like a habit that eats itself. The more you give, the less capable you become of giving. Either you become poor and disrespected, or become a robber and get hatred from people. The prince should avoid hatred and disrespect in every way. Being called stingy is better because it has only a little shame, not hatred. Becoming a robber gives both shame and hatred. Chapter 17. Every prince wants people to call him merciful. No one likes being called cruel. But mercy should be used very thoughtfully. Cesare Borgia was called cruel, but that cruelty brought peace to Romagna. He made the whole territory loyal. The people of Florence wanted to be merciful. They let Pistoia city be destroyed in riots. The prince should not fear being called cruel, as long as his people remain united and loyal. Punishing a few guilty is actually mercy. Otherwise, by giving looseness, looting and killing happens. This harms the whole people. The prince's punishment falls on only one man. For a new prince, cruelty is a compulsion. A new territory is always full of dangers. Virgil also wrote the same in his book. To save a new rule, strictness has to be shown. Still, the prince should not believe everything. He should not attack without thinking. The prince should not trust too much, nor doubt too much. Here a big question arises. Is it better for the prince to be loved or feared? Both would be best, but getting both together is very difficult. So if one has to be chosen, fear is more safe. Man's nature is very bad. They are selfish, cowardly, liars, and greedy. As long as your time is good, they are your own. They promise to give their life and wealth. But as soon as real need comes, they run away. The prince who trusts only promises is ruined. Friendship bought with money never helps. People do not fear deceiving a loving prince, but they do not hurt a feared prince. Love is a weak thread, which man breaks for his greed. But the fear of punishment always remains. The prince should create such fear that people do not hate. It is very easy to avoid hatred. Just do not touch people's wealth and women. If you have to take someone's life, there should be solid reason. Man can forget his father's death, but he never forgets his taken property. Excuses for looting are always found, but reasons for taking life are not found quickly. When the prince is with his army, he should not care about being called cruel. Without cruelty, the army never unites and fights. Take Hannibal's example. His army had thousands of different kinds of people. Still, there was never quarrel among them. The reason was his terrible cruelty. Because of this, soldiers feared him and respected him. On the other hand, Scipio was a very good man. But in Spain, his army rebelled. He was a very soft prince. he gave too much looseness to soldiers. Because of this, he was called destroyer of army. If he had not left his softness, his respect would have ended. The results that love is people's will, but fear is in the prince's hand. A wise prince does what is in his control. He just has to avoid people's hatred. Chapter 18. Everyone agrees that the prince should be truthful and honest. But in reality, great princes have always used cleverness. They entangled people in their words and won. In the end, he won who did not care about promises. There are two ways to fight. One is law, which is man's way. Second is force, which is animal's way. Often law does not work. Then the prince has to adopt the animal's way. Old masters sent princes to half animal. This means the prince has to become both man and animal. If you become only one, your rule will not last long. When it is time to become animal, choose lion and fox. The lion cannot save himself from traps. The fox cannot save himself from wolves. To recognize traps, become fox. To frighten wolves, become lion. Princes who fight only like lions are foolish. A clever prince should break his promise when it goes against him. If the reason for making the promise is gone, why keep it? If all people were good, this would be wrong. But people are bad, and they will not keep promise with you. So you do not need to be truthful with them. The prince always has 100 excuses ready to break promises. To become fox, you have to be a great artist. People in the world are very simple. Whoever wants to deceive finds someone to fool. Alexander VI spent his whole life deceiving people. He took big oaths but never kept them. Still, he always succeeded because he knew people's weakness. For the prince, it is not necessary to be really good in everything, but he should have the skill to appear good. Always being kind, truthful, and religious can be harmful. But appearing so helps a lot. The prince's mind should be such that he changes according to time. Stay good as long as possible, but learn to become bad when needed. No wrong word should come from the prince's mouth. Whoever sees him should feel he is kind and religious. Appearing religious is most necessary. People often believe what they see. Very few know the truth. Everyone sees how you appear. But what you are, no one knows. In the end, the world sees only results. If the prince wins his territory and keeps it, everyone will praise him. People always run after success. And in this world, there is a crowd of common people. There is also a prince who always talks of peace and promises. But in reality, he is enemy of both. If he kept his promises, his rule would have gone long ago. Chapter 19. The prince should avoid two things most: hatred and contempt. If you are saved from these, do not worry about other dangers. Hatred comes to the prince from greed. Do not touch people's wealth and their women. When you do not take people's things, they stay happy. Then you just have to control a handful of greedy people. Changing intentions is the biggest root of contempt. Cowardice and looseness make the prince light in people's eyes. The prince should appear strong and fearless, like a lion. Your decisions should be like lines on stone. Create such respect that no one thinks of deceiving you. When the prince's respect is great, no conspiracy is made against him. The enemy thinks 100 times before attacking. The prince has fear from two sides. One from outside enemies, second from his own people. To save from outside, keep good army and firm friends. If there is peace outside, inside is also fine. The best cure for conspiracy is that people do not hate you. The conspirator thinks people will be happy by killing the prince. But if he feels people will get angry, his courage breaks. Conspiracy is very difficult work. The traitor has full confidence of reward from the prince, but the conspirator has only fear. If there is people's support, conspiracy is impossible. Take the example of Bologna's Annibale. Enemies killed him by deceit, but people loved him very much. The people rose and killed all the murderers. People's love is the prince's real and strong shield. France's rule is made very cleverly. Their parliament is a middle path. High people are very greedy and rude. People hate them. The king put a decision maker in the middle. Parliament controls high people and saves small people. Because of this, no blame comes on the king. Get bad work done by others. Do good work yourself. Respect high people, but do not trouble people. Some people say good Roman kings were also killed. Next time I will tell why they failed. Here we will talk about Roman kings from Marcus to Maximinus. Roman kings had a third big difficulty. They had to bear their army's cruelty and greed. In this, many kings were ruined. People wanted peace, so they liked a straightforward king. But the army wanted a warlike and greedy king. The army wanted the prince to oppress people, so soldiers get double salary and do as they wish. Princes who could not show strength over army were killed. New princes often had to please the army more than people. The prince has to bear someone's hatred, but he should avoid hatred from the strongest group in every way, so new princes thought giving support to army was better. Marcus Aurelius and Alexander were kind-hearted kings. Except Marcus all had bad ends. Marcus had hereditary rule, so he had respect. He kept both army and people in their place with his skill. Pertinax was made king against the army's wish. In the old king's time, the army was used to luxury. Pertinax wanted to run them honestly, which they did not like. The army hated him and insulted him, thinking him old. Remember, even by doing good work, hatred can come. To save the game of power, the prince often has to become bad. Alexander was so good that in 14 years, he did not kill anyone without investigation. But people considered him tied to his mother's apron and coward. He was insulted, and the army killed him. Now let's talk about Severus. He was very cruel and greedy. To keep the army happy, he oppressed people a lot. But he had so much strength that everyone feared him. He knew how to become a fearless lion and clever fox. Severus brought his army to Rome on the excuse of revenge. As soon as he reached Rome, he became king himself. He had two big enemies, Niger and Albinus. He did not think it right to fight both together. He trapped Albinus in friendship promises. He gave him the title of Caesar and made him partner. When Albinus became careless, Severus killed Niger in war. As soon as work finished, he accused Albinus of conspiring to take his life. He killed Albinus too. Severus was a powerful lion and clever fox. His respect was so great that the army never deceived him. Antoninus was a very big soldier. He was not afraid of hard work. He ate simple food. So the army loved him. But he was very cruel. He did massacres in Rome and Alexandria. The whole world started hating him. His own soldiers started fearing him. In the end, a soldier killed him. The prince should remember one thing. The man who does not fear death can kill the prince. But such cases are very few. The prince should just respect his close ones. Antoninus had killed one soldier's brother. Still, he kept that soldier in his army. This was his big mistake. This became the reason for his ruin. Commodus's rule was very easy. He was Marcus's son. He got the throne in hereditary rule. He just had to follow his father's path. But he was a very low and cruel man. He spoiled the army. He started looting people. He forgot his respect and went to show wrestling. Because of this, the army insulted him. He became victim of hatred and contempt and was killed. Maximinus was a strong soldier. The army chose him king, but people hated him. People insulted him because he used to steal sheep earlier. Even after becoming king, he did not go to Rome. He got great oppression done by his officers. The whole world went against him. His own army killed him. Today's princes do not have to please the army so much. Earlier, the army was very powerful. Now, people have more power. So the prince should keep people happy. Only Turkey and Sultan's case is different. Their throne stands only on army. The Sultan's rule is like Christian Pope. It is neither hereditary nor completely new. Here, the old king's son does not become heir, but a new king is chosen. The rules are old, so it cannot be called new rule. Hatred and contempt drown these kings. A new prince cannot copy Marcus completely. He cannot become completely like Severus. He should learn the tricks of taking power from Severus and the skill of keeping rule from Marcus. Chapter 20. Princes use many tricks to keep territories under control. Some take weapons from their people. Some create divisions among cities. Some deliberately create enemies. Some turn old enemies into friends. Some build big forts while some destroy them. The prince has to decide according to time. A new prince never takes weapons from his people. But if people are unarmed, he gives them weapons. When you give them weapons, they become yours. Those you doubted become loyal. Those who are already loyal become firm companions. When you cannot give weapons to everyone, choose some. Those who get weapons remain grateful to you. The rest understand that rewarding those who risk life is right. But if you take weapons, you make them unhappy. This means you do not trust them. They will consider you coward or suspicious. Because of this, hatred is born against you. Then you have to depend on mercenaries. Mercenaries cannot save you from big enemies. Old masters said divisions keep control over cities. They kept cities' people fighting among themselves. Perhaps that was right then. But today, this way is useless. A divided city cannot face the enemy. As soon as the enemy comes, the weak group joins him. Venice also played this trick. But as soon as they lost, their pet groups rebelled against them. Such tricks are used only by weak princes. The prince becomes big only when he defeats big difficulties. Fortune often puts enemies before new princes, so he can crush them and climb up, as if the enemy made a ladder for his success. So the clever prince deliberately creates a little hatred against himself. Then, by destroying it, he increases his respect. Princes have often seen that old enemies are more useful. Those doubted in the beginning turned out to be firm friends later. Old enemies have the fire to prove themselves right. They put more effort in your work. But be careful of those who come with you unhappy from the old rule. If they came only for greed, it is impossible to please them. Princes used to build forts from old times. Forts are reigns for enemies and shelter for princes. But in our time, many princes destroyed their own forts. Forts are good or bad depends on time. If the prince fears his people more than outside enemies, he should build forts. But if he fears outside, he should forget forts. Sforza's forts created more trouble than benefit for him. The strongest fort is that people do not hate you. If people hate you, no wall can save you. When people take up arms, foreign help comes anyway. Forts can save only for a short time, like the Countess of Forli. But later it failed before Cesare Borgia, because then people joined the enemy. Chapter 21. Big actions and strange examples increase the prince's respect. Spain's King Ferdinand is a great example today. He was a small king, but today he is the biggest king in the Christian world. Whatever he did was very big and surprising. As soon as he took rule, he attacked Granada. This was the first brick of his empire. He kept Castile's barons busy in war thoughts. They kept seeing war preparations and did not see Ferdinand becoming powerful. He built his army with church people's money. He showed a good cruelty wearing religion's cloak. He drove out the Moors from the country. This was a very big and strange trick. In the name of religion, he did not spare Africa, Italy, and France. He always kept people surprised by his tricks. People kept thinking what will happen next. He never gave his enemies time to recover. The prince should give strange examples in his territory too. Be like Barnabo of Milan. When any citizen does very good or bad work, give him such punishment or reward that it is talked about. The prince should do every work that increases his respect. People should consider him great and effective. The prince's respect is when he is either firm friend or open enemy. Supporting one group is much better than staying in the middle. If your two powerful neighbors are fighting each other, you have to decide. The winner can become danger for you tomorrow. In such condition, clearly supporting one and fighting with full heart is wisdom. If you stay in the middle, the winner will swallow you raw. The loser will not help you because you did not support him. The winner does not want friends who do not help in trouble. When Antiochus went to Greece, he told people to stay in the middle. But the Romans told people to take up arms. The Romans said staying away from war is the biggest mistake. You get neither respect nor anything. Whoever is not your friend tells you to stay quiet, but friends always tell you to take up arms. Weak princes often choose the middle path and get ruined. But if you bravely support one and he wins, he remains grateful to you. Men are not so bad that after winning they crush their helper. But remember one thing. The prince should never attack with someone more powerful than himself. If you win, you come under his control. The prince should always remain free. Venice supported France and wrote its ruin. But if compulsion like Florence, then supporting one is necessary. Never think any decision is completely safe. The game of power is always full of dangers. You will escape one trouble, then another comes. Wisdom is to recognize dangers and choose small dangers. Chapter 22. Choosing special servants is a very big work for the prince. How wise the prince is known from the people around him. If his men are capable and loyal, the prince is considered wise. This means the prince knows how to recognize skill and keep loyalty. But if servants are useless, questions arise on the prince's intelligence. His first move of choosing people proves completely wrong. When Pandolfo Petrucci made Antonio his man, the world accepted Pandolfo as a very clever prince. Minds are of three kinds. First, who understands everything himself. Second, who understands when others explain. Third, who neither understands himself nor when explained. The first is best. The second is also good. But the third is useless. If the prince is not first class, he should at least be second class. Then he can recognize right and wrong in his servant's work. Then the servant cannot deceive him and works honestly. There is only one firm way to test a servant. If the servant thinks more of his benefit than your work and finds only his greed in everything, such a man can never be a good servant. You can never trust him. Whoever has another's territory in hand should never think of himself. He should worry only about his prince and his work. To keep the servant loyal, the prince has to do something too. The prince should give him respect, make him rich and be kind to him, give him equal share in the game of power, but make him feel that he is nothing without you. Getting more status, he should not desire even bigger status. Getting more money, he should not desire more. When prince and servant are like this for each other, the relation lasts. Otherwise, its end is always bad. Chapter 23. Courts are full of flatterers. These people are like a poisonous disease. Man becomes very happy, quickly hearing his praise. It is very hard to avoid this. If you ask everyone to speak truth, your respect decreases. But if you listen to flatterers, you get ruined. A wise prince should choose the middle path. Choose some very wise men from his territory. Give only them freedom to speak truth, and that too, only when you ask them. But you should ask them everything. Listen to everyone's opinion, but the final decision should be yours. Tell those advisors that the more truth they speak, the more you like them. Do not listen to anyone else besides them. Once decision is made, stick to it. The prince who keeps changing his words, people insult him. Look at Maximilian's example. He did not take advice from anyone. He did not tell his intentions to anyone. But when he started work, people stopped him. He was weak. So he changed his decision under others' influence. What he did today, he cut the next day. Such prince no one can trust. The prince should take advice only when he wants. When others want, do not give them chance to advise. Rather, break the power of those who advise without asking. The prince should ask many questions himself. Have patience to hear truth. If someone hides truth, show him your anger. Some people say the prince appears wise because of advisors. This is completely wrong. The prince who is not wise himself cannot recognize good advice. If he gives his reign to one clever man for a few days, it runs fine. But soon that clever man takes the prince's territory. If the prince takes advice from many, and he is not wise himself, he gets confused. Every advisor thinks only of his benefit. The prince can never control them. Men do not become loyal until forced. So remember, good advice comes from the prince's intelligence. The prince's intelligence does not come from good advice. Chapter 24. If you pay attention to my words, a new prince will look like an old master. He will sit stronger on his throne than hereditary prince. People watch every move of the new prince very carefully. If the prince has skill, people forget the old hereditary rule. Man cares more about today's benefit than yesterday's memories. If the prince gives them happiness today, they do not look anywhere else. If the prince walks rightly, people will fight life to save him. Making a new territory and decorating it with good army is great respect. But losing rule after becoming prince is the biggest disrespect. Why did Italy's princes lose their thrones in the end? Take examples of Naples' king and Milan's duke. The first big mistake was their army was weak. The second mistake was either people were against them or they could not keep high people in their fist. If the army stands firm in the field, the rule never goes. Look at Philip of Macedon. He was not Alexander's father. He did not have Rome's strength and big territory. But he knew how to fight and won people's heart. He also kept high people well with him. He fought wars for years and saved his rule. So do not blame your fortune for losing the throne. Learn to be ashamed of your laziness and uselessness. You never prepared for bad time in peaceful days. Man's habit is to forget storm seeing calm sea. When bad time came, you ran instead of fighting. You thought people would call you back themselves. This is the thinking of a very low and weak prince. Depending on others to save yourself is not wisdom. The defense that stands on your own strength is firm. Chapter 25. Many people believe everything is decided by God and fortune. They think man's intelligence cannot do anything, so they leave everything to fate instead of working hard. Nowadays, so many changes are happening in the world that people believe this more. But I believe fortune decides only half the game. The other half depends on our skill and strength. Fortune is like a flooding river. When flood comes, it sweeps everything. Houses and trees do not stand before it. Everyone accepts defeat before it. But the wise prince is he who builds strong dams in dry season, so that when flood comes again, water flows through canals. The river's force does not cause destruction uncontrollably. Fortune shows its strength only where there is no obstacle. It turns its direction only where it knows there is no dam. Look at Italy's condition. Here there is no dam. If there was strength like Germany or France, it would not have been ruined. Often the prince is happy today and ruined tomorrow. He did not change his nature. Still, he drowned. The first reason is he stood only on his fortune. As soon as fortune turned, time ended. The real player is he who plays moves according to time. Men choose different paths for wealth and respect. Some walk very thoughtfully, some very fast. Some try strength, some cleverness. Often people walking different paths also succeed. The reason is only that their path was right according to time. Trouble comes when time changes, but man does not change. If a prince always works calmly, and time changes, now he should attack like a lion, but he cannot change. He is forced by his old nature. He walks the same path where he succeeded before. The result is he drowns with changing time. Pope Julius II always worked with speed and enthusiasm. The situations of his time fitted perfectly with his enthusiasm. He decided to attack Bologna. Venetians and Spain's king just kept watching. They were entangled in fear and greed. Julius did what no one else could do. If he sat in Rome waiting for everything to be confirmed, he would have lost. The enemy would make excuses, and friends would frighten him. I believe being fearless is better than being very thoughtful, because fortune is like a woman. To keep her in control, enthusiasm and force have to be shown. She comes quickly to courageous men rather than cold ones. Like a woman, she likes young men, because young men think less and win her with bad strength. Chapter 26. I have thought a lot whether this is the right time to make a new prince. I feel the present time was never more suitable. For Moses, it was necessary that Israel be captive. For Cyrus, it was necessary that Persians be oppressed. For Theseus, it was necessary that Athens be scattered. Similarly, to show the virtue of Italian spirit, it was necessary that Italy reach the extreme condition it is in today. Italy is more enslaved than Hebrews, more oppressed than Persians, more scattered than Athenians. Without head, without order, beaten, looted, torn, overrun, and has suffered every kind of destruction. Although recently some spark was shown by one, which made us think he was sent by God for our redemption. But later, it was seen in the height of his career that fortune rejected him. So Italy left without life waits for him who will heal her wounds and end the looting and plundering of Lombardy, the cheating and taxing of the kingdom and Tuscany, and clean those sores that have been festering for long. It is seen how she prays to God to send someone who will deliver her from these wrongs and barbarous insolences. It is also seen that she is ready and willing to follow a banner if someone raises it. nor is anyone seen now in whom she can hope more than in your illustrious house, with its valour and fortune favoured by God, and by the church of which it is now the chief, and which could be made head of this redemption. This will not be difficult if you recall to yourself the actions and lives of the men I have named. And although they were great and wonderful men, yet they were men, and each had no more opportunity than the present offers, for their enterprises were neither more just nor easier than this, nor was God more their friend than he is yours. Here there is great justice, because that war is just which is necessary, and arms are hallowed when there is no other hope but in them. Here there is the greatest willingness, and where willingness is great, difficulties cannot be great, if you only follow those men to whom I have directed your attention. Further, how extraordinarily the ways of God have been shown beyond example. The sea is divided, a cloud has led the way, the rock has poured water, manna has rained. Everything has contributed to your greatness. You have to do the rest. God does not want to do everything, and thus take away our free will and that share of glory which belongs to us. And it is not surprising if none of the above-named Italians have been able to accomplish all that is expected from your illustrious house. And if in so many revolutions in Italy, and in so many campaigns, it has always appeared military virtue was exhausted, this happened because the old order was not good, and none of us knew how to find a new one. And nothing honours a man more than to establish new laws and new ordinances when he himself was newly risen. Such things, when well-founded and dignified, make him revered and admired. And in Italy, opportunities are not lacking to bring such in use in every form. Here there is great valour in the limbs, while it fails in the head. Look attentively at the duels and hand-to-hand combats, how superior Italians are in strength, dexterity, and subtlety. But when it comes to armies, they do not compare, and this springs entirely from the insufficiency of leaders, since those capable are not obedient, and each thinks himself to know, there never having been anyone so distinguished above the rest, either by valour or fortune, that others would yield to him. Hence, for so long, and during so much fighting in the past 20 years, whenever there has been an army wholly Italian, it has always given a poor account of itself. The first witness is Il Taro, afterwards Alessandria, Capua, Genoa, Vaila, Bologna, Mestre. If therefore your illustrious house wishes to follow these remarkable men who have redeemed their country, it is necessary, before all things as a true foundation, for every enterprise to be provided with your own forces, because there can be no more faithful, truer, or better soldiers. And although singly they are good altogether, they will be much better when commanded by their prince, honoured by him, and maintained at his expense. Therefore, it is necessary to be prepared with such arms, so you can be defended against foreigners by Italian valour. And although Swiss and Spanish infantry may be considered very formidable nevertheless, there is a defect in both, by reason of which a third order would not only oppose them, but might be relied upon to overthrow them. For Spaniards cannot resist cavalry, and Switzers are afraid of infantry whenever they meet them in close combat. Owing to this, as has been and may again be seen, Spaniards unable to resist French cavalry, and Switzers overthrown by Spanish infantry. And although complete proof of this latter cannot be shown, nevertheless there was some evidence at Ravenna when Spanish infantry confronted German battalions who follow same tactics as Swiss. Spaniards, by agility of body and aid of shields, got under pikes of Germans and stood out of danger, able to attack, while Germans stood helpless, and if cavalry had not dashed up, all would have been over with them. It is possible, therefore, knowing defects of both infantries, to invent a new one which will resist cavalry and not fear infantry. This need not create new order of arms, but variation on old. And these are improvements which confer reputation and power on new prince. This opportunity ought not to be allowed to pass for letting Italy at last see her liberator appear. Nor can one express love with which he would be received in all provinces, suffered so much from foreign scourings, with what thirst for revenge, with what stubborn faith, with what devotion, with what tears. What door would be closed to him? Who would refuse obedience? What envy hinder him? What Italian refuse homage? To all of us this barbarous dominion stinks. Let therefore your illustrious house take up this charge with courage and hope, just enterprises undertaken. So under its standard, our native country ennobled, and under its auspices, verified that saying of Petrarch, virtu contro a furore, prendere l'arme, e fia el combatter corto, c'è l'antico valore, negli Italesi cor non è ancor morto. Virtue against fury shall take up arms, and the fight will be short because the ancient valor in Italian hearts is not yet dead. This book ends here. We will meet again in a new episode with a new book. Thank you.